Hello, welcome to the Head Hutt. I'm ZGALA the Art Angel, and this is a mega sculpture that I built myself, and I want to tell you about some of the mistakes, air quotes, mistakes that I made. As you can see, it's very lovely, especially this time of day, and so I'm not unhappy about any of the mistakes, air quotes, mistakes that I made. In fact, I have a group called the Authentic Action Academy where we embrace learning through mistakes. So that is the intention is sharing these with you, not to put myself down or anyone else down, or even discourage air quotes mistakes, but just to share what I've learned while allowing myself to make air quotes mistakes. I'll stop. One of the things that's happened here in the Head Hutt is I've had some, I'm trying to get close enough so you can see, there is some minor cracking. I'm trying to figure out where the heck where is that? There we go. Where is the camera? There we go. Where are you? Oh, I was looking at the wrong spot. So anyway, here is an example of some cracking that I had, and it's probably not just in the plaster layer. It's probably penetrating through, not in every case, but in some cases. Definitely not in every case. But in cases like that where you see it along the bottle, a lot of these cracks are pretty severe. Now, they're easy to fix, maintain in our climate at least. There's another one in here. You can see I put in a carabiner, and that's actually around some metal that's in this framework. So it's not it's not dangerously cracked because it's all got a metal framework. But where I put these bottles through and it expands and contracts a lot and lets moisture in many cases, I got these cracks. And in the places like this where I put in a close design, where I actually spent a gross amount of time working out this pattern for the top. It's got LED lights. Here, let me turn you around. I know I'm probably making you dizzy. There's the front of the Head Hutt. That's the top, and you can kind of see I tried to mimic like eyebrowish things over my front eyes there. The big round windows have feather eyelashes in the front, and yeah, so I spent a lot of time working on this pattern, and I'm not sorry I did it, but I would definitely not recommend doing it. So I want to talk about it a little because I love that I did this, because if I knew better, I never would have created this spectacular thing, and I love so many things about it. But putting bottles through the dome at an angle like this, a terrible idea. Work could be done to do some bottle wall work, but it should be done straight up and down like these ones are, where they're relatively plumb, using a plumb line and or something to make sure that your bottles are all on the same plane and along the way that they're level, because if you angle them, they won't let the light in very well, and they can also take in some water if they're not sealed up very well. And that is mistake number 2 that I want to talk about. And here's an example. This one is probably actually one of the ones that I put LED lights on. So I will save that for mistake 3 and talk about some of the bottles. There were just a few where I did not level them quite correctly. And we'll move to the front so I can find one. I'm actually looking around and seeing maybe I have taken care of all of those and there are just the ones that had the LEDs. So I will just talk about if you put them in and they're not level, and because these are 2 bottles taped together, if it's not level and there's any crack in that tape or that seal, it can let water in, and then it's going to run to the bottom of that bottle, and and sometimes it'll evaporate out and just leave like a hard water stain or Sometimes a little mold can grow in there if there's air in there as well. But sometimes it'll just to sit in there. I've had some of these sit with water. I'm looking now, and I do see some, but I have to get up here to show you. I will do that. So up here are some. So this is one that has an LED light in it that came out. What you can see here is a watermark. It's evaporated because we haven't had much water, but you can see water has gotten in here. And here is one. See, there are quite a few of these that this happened to, and I can't reach them that well. But so this one has some dirty water in it right now. You can see this one has some staining in it. That's all from being at this angle of the dome, which is the same effect that I'm talking about anywhere else, where if they're not going to be level, you are inviting many, many problems. So just don't do it. Yeah, I'm not sorry I did it, but I don't recommend doing it. That's what I will reiterate. And then problem number 3 that I will touch on is these darker ones. This one's actually so dark that it tells me it probably still has the LED cover on it. And these are set up so they're, there's little solar LEDs that come on at night. And some of them, even though it's been more than 5 years since I put them in, some of them do still glow. They're due for replacement. And some of them came off and then just let dirt and stuff in there. And so I guess the lesson that I learned from that is to plan ahead a little bit better, like plan more than 5 years ahead, and make those the ones that have the LED lights, solar lights, if you're going to do something like that. Now, of course, I would not recommend doing them at the angle like this, but you might want to do them at a side, at a 90-degree angle, or a straight up and down. All my words are leaving me at the moment. You probably not recommend, but also it was a really cool idea that I want to say I don't want to rule out, but I would take more care if I did it again, and I would make it so that I could get the bottles out and replace them or clean them more easily, and or just have in mind a maintenance program where I'm going to check them annually and make sure they're still on tight, replace them as needed. Really, anything this spectacular should have an annual maintenance plan anyway, and I'm still learning how to do that for this body, which is also spectacular and needs a maintenance plan. So it's all a work in progress, I like to say. Anyway, this Head Hutt I love, as I mentioned and will mention again. I am not sorry for all the mistakes that I made, and I in my school community, I encourage us all to make more mistakes, to, again, air quotes mistakes, but to not be afraid of making mistakes in order to learn, to, in fact, just, get in there and get your hands into it and try things out, because even if you try not to make mistakes, you're still going to. And I say, why try not to make mistakes? Of course, try your best to do your best, to do it right. But, yeah, embrace mistakes. That's what I'm trying to say at the end of the day. And again, this sculpture would not exist if I was afraid of mistakes. On so many levels, I made so many mistakes. I mean, I just went over the 3 that were visible to me right now as I'm enjoying very much this time of day in here with this back bottle wall. And in the morning, the front glows a little more. And actually, this is a north wall and that's a south wall. So it's not that the sun's coming in directly, but it's the angle and things. And I probably could get into for hours all the nuances of making bottle walls. And one of these days, perhaps I will make a course on it. If you're interested in that, let me know. I'll make a waiting list for you. But yeah, meanwhile, I just wanted to say, embrace, air quote, mistakes. You're going to learn so much more if you just get in there and don't be afraid of making mistakes, and see where they lead you. They might lead you to something beautiful.